set up essential services. What does that mean? If you are in the business, will tomorrow start learning how to learn? I don't know. Look at the schedule. See where we are. We're going to get there one at a time. So setting up essential services. These are all things that we have to go through. I know they're not fun things, but you have to have all of this in order to do everything else that comes next. So I have to talk about it, and I don't have to talk a lot about it, but you just have to have it. And if you don't, it's going to be impossible for you to do that. So what are the services that are essential? You have to have email of some kind. If you want to use Gmail, that's fine. I don't care. I don't like it. I don't use it. I use Proton Mail. I strongly suggest Proton Mail. Some people in different areas of the world cannot use Proton Mail. So notably Russia, we found out. There's a number of places that can't do it. Some people consider use of Proton Mail, unfortunately, that you're a hacker or something. It's not. It's a very mainstream, very secure service that I've been using for several years, and I cannot recommend it more strongly. I think it's a fantastic service. How's it going, Pyros? And so you need a YouTube account. If you actually, just truth be known, you don't have to have a YouTube account in order to participate in the boost. I think it's useful for you to have a YouTube account. By the way, you can have a YouTube account without having a Google account. You can create a YouTube account and use your email from Proton Mail. People don't know this, and they think they have to have a Gmail, and they really try to push a Gmail on you, but you don't have to have that. You can have just a YouTube account that has, in my case, rob@rdbx.gg. It's got a completely different email address. I think it's in your best interest to have a YouTube account. We can't escape the fact that they're going to track what you watch on YouTube. I don't think that's particularly bad because they do tell you about other things that are there. I am monetizing videos on YouTube mostly for the exposure and not so much for the money, obviously. But and so I'm an active YouTube user. I believe overall what YouTube is doing for the world is a good thing. There's a lot of complaints I have about other things that they do, but I think overall allowing us to publish videos, particularly educational videos, is kind of groundbreaking, and I think it's amazing. So I think everybody should have a YouTube account in order to do their own research. You probably all have one already, but it's just worth mentioning. I sometimes have to make this point to parents because their children, if they're under 13, by the way, it's illegal for them to have a YouTube account. And it's up to the parents to decide whether or not they are going to allow their child to have that account. Technically, in that case, I believe it's the parents who own the account and they're allowing their kids to use it. If that's a concern for you, if you're a parent or you're a young person and you're under 13, or if your parents are going to like it, whatever, that's your own decision. But I think it's a real essential thing to have. You should create a Twitch account if you want to participate in the studio audience. However, it is possible to not have to log into Twitch, and I document that on the main Twitch page. If you go down here, it's right here. There's a section in here. It says Twitch without Twitch. I don't know if you can see it. I can probably zoom it in, but you can log into IRC. You can use that. You can watch with MPV and go that way if you don't want to do Twitch. I think Kangas and a bunch of other people are actually using IRC. I do have if you know what IRC is, I do have another IRC channel called RWX, #RWX on Freenode. I'm not going to spend any time talking about it during the boost, but if you know about IRC, you're welcome to go in there and chat. It's relatively unpopulated these days because I have been doing Twitch IRC a lot. So, but I do think learning IRC is an essential skill, but I didn't feel strongly enough about that to put that into the boost. I'm on the fence on that particular thing because there's just so much good content in IRC. So maybe that will come up later in the good to gig stuff that we talk about at the end of the boost. Some of the more advanced things. At that time, we're also going to talk about Twitter accounts and Reddit and other stuff for making connections as opposed to essential services. I wouldn't say IRC is essential. I believe it is for me, but I'm kind of backpedaling off that. But as you can tell, I'm kind of conflicted on whether or not that truly qualifies as essential. So to participate in the boost, you actually don't need to have Twitch. Many people don't. And I've been getting a lot of feedback on YouTube by people who are happy for the short form videos again, because they are just YouTube users, and I'm no longer live streaming to Twitch. I mean, to YouTube. So that's what's up. And there's a lot of other great people live streaming to YouTube. I probably never will. I did for a while, but that experiment failed because the interface is just too horrible, and there's just a number of reasons why it wasn't working. People can, kind of chat with each other and stuff. So I've moved away from that and decided not to do that. What else? GitHub. So you guys know I've been using GitHub all night. GitHub.com. GitHub.com is a mandatory account right now for any technologist. I don't think I can overstate this. People come back at me with like, but it's owned by Microsoft and blah, blah, blah. And I used to like GitLab for a long time because of that. I flip-flop back and forth on GitLab, GitHub at least 3 times in the last 5 years. And right now there's just no debate. GitHub is overwhelmingly the dominant account service provider for technologists, and that even if you don't think you need it, you need it. And we're going to talk about that a lot. The note-taking method that I use, the method for collaboration, why GitHub is more important than LinkedIn. Even it's more important to have a GitHub than in a LinkedIn for discoverability. There's just so many reasons to have a GitHub. You can track issues on it. You can use it for your knowledge base. Just get a GitHub account. Now, I have to say right here as a mandatory disclaimer, if you get a GitHub account, when I was working with young people, one of the reasons that I went to GitLab is because of the GitHub policy regarding anyone under 13. And I actually contacted the people from support on the phone at GitHub. They let me talk to them. I'd been involved with GitHub Ed for Education for a while. And they said they weren't aware of the policy. And I was like, really? Because there was this drama. There was a big YouTuber either YouTuber or a tech blogger, I can't remember, but he got banished from GitHub for letting his son or daughter under 13 use it. And GitHub has a very strict policy about sharing accounts. Thou shalt not share GitHub accounts. If you have the knowledge and the skill and you're just watching for fun, I would suggest you go the extra mile and actually validate your account with a GPG signature. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about that. That was a statement just for the more advanced people who might be listening in. It's just really a great way to validate who you are. GitHub also supports sponsorships and a bunch of things. I made a whole video on GitLab and video. In fact, let me send that to you if you're interested. So the question is, YouTube query GitLab and GitHub. I've made there's actually 2 or 3 videos out there, and if you make sure you look at the timestamps. And make sure you look at the timestamps on those videos when they go into depth about why I've decided that GitHub is the dominant service provider right now. People hate me for saying that, but I justify that. In short, it's just they've got over 100,000 users. It's so many levels. They're just destroying GitLab on so many fronts. So. If you want a GitLab account, you can get that as well. I still have a GitLab account with a lot of aging, outdated data in there that I need to move over. But my current recommendation is GitHub, and I think the writing's on the wall there. I don't think GitHub is ever gonna become unpopular. I don't think if Microsoft were ever to mess around with GitHub, that would prevent people from using it from a user perspective. GitHub did decide to tell me that I was no longer qualified as an educational institution, and then I had 30 days to get my stuff off, which was a pretty draconian move that really angered me, because I had to immediately download it all and put it out there, even though I've got people $100,000 junior engineering jobs, and I'm kind of tentative with GitHub and their domination and centralization. And I've played around with the idea of putting everything on my own Git repos. I was pretty vocal about that for a while. But as of this moment, I can just say I am not inclined to get off of GitHub for a very long time. And it's mostly for pragmatic reasons. It's one of those things. It's like YouTube too, right? Or Twitch. God knows I complain about Twitch all the time and their overuse of advertising and blah, blah, blah. It's one of these catch-22s. It's like, you got to use these things, but at the same time, So frankly, the way I look at it is I'm going to take as much advantage of them as possible because God knows they're going to take advantage of me. So all the bets are off as long as it's like a convenient relationship. Fine, at least it's not Snickers at anyone I know, and so it's just the world we live in. I absolutely refuse to have a Google account. However, I'm softening on that particular position as well. Well, it's not really a part of this video, but I am warming up to Google because of their offering for Google Cloud Platform, which is an opportunity for them to make money besides stealing our privacy. And if I can give Google an opportunity to make money on me in a way that's selling a service as opposed to selling me and my privacy, I would rather reward them for that. So my position on Google is kind of, fluid at the moment. So I said to say, I do think about those things a lot. This is not just me shilling for these account providers by any means. That's the how I operate. Docker account. So this one is a new one. So last year we did not do anything with Docker. And this year we are. This year we are going to be building everything on top of Docker from day one. So I'm not going to tell you how to get a Docker account, but you need to go get one. So get a Docker, what is it? Docker.com, I think, and go get a hub account. And if you want to jump ahead, you can go ahead and install Docker Desktop on a Mac or a Windows machine. If you are kind of proactively installing Linux ahead of time, which you can do. But last time we had a boost, we spent way too much time talking about how to install Linux and what distro to use and what window manager and all of that. And we are not talking about that in this boost at the beginning. This boost is all about the terminal, and the container kind of keeps us in the terminal for that reason. So that's why we're getting Docker from the beginning. And the next step is going to be to download an image, whichever one you want, but suggesting Debian. And then we're going to be on the command line using the command line from the next day on. And that's how we're going to do this whole boost. At the end of the boost, it's in the calendar, or the outline. At the end of the boost, we will be doing Linux on hardware conversations, so that I install it on this. What kind of computer should I get? How many cores? Should I dual boot? All of these questions, they're still valid, but they don't derail the boost. They can be done after the fact, because the boost is about getting on the terminal as quick as possible. And this is going to be the first year we're going to try it, but we think that Docker might be the way to do it. Ironically, somebody recommended that we do Docker last year, and I was not good enough with it to really act on that recommendation. So that's where we're at. Those are the services you should focus on. We're going to be talking about some other things tomorrow, and I think the next day. So you probably have a couple days to get those services set up. But if you're missing any of those services, that's your homework. That's your priority for right now, is to get on those services using an account that you want to use. You don't have to set up your keys on GitHub yet if you don't want to, if you know what I'm talking about. You don't need to do that just yet. We're not going to get to that until sometime. We're going to use the GitHub graphic interface for a while just to get used to GitHub and talk about what it's about and all that. Many of you have already had experiences with GitHub, so once you create these accounts, just go ahead and play around with them and figure them out. But we're going to be getting into the specifics of them over the next week or two.